Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading for the week of February 22nd to the 26th, 2021. Just a quick disclaimer here before we dive in. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So in terms of what we have coming up in the news here, all right, so actually, before we dive into the news, just overall, what do we have going on in the market at the moment? We've seen some back and forth move, but right now we still have that positive sentiment in the market. And there were problems with the supply of oil, but now the weather should be getting better in Texas. So some of those problems should go away. And as a result of that, we should be able to what should I say? The oil price should be okay now. So all those supply issues should be resolved or will be resolved in the coming weeks here. So that is okay. And the markets are moving back up again. So all in all, things are looking positive across the board. Yes, we are seeing a lot of, we're seeing new variants and we'll see how that plays out here. So in terms of it almost seems like everybody's kind of looking past the COVID at this point. So let's see if any of the new variants have an impact on the markets. We'll see. We'll find out. In terms of the news, what do we have? We have on Monday here, we have IFO business climate numbers. It's almost what we saw last time. So that's what the expectation is. If it comes in line with expectations, and then we shouldn't really see much of a difference. If it's bullish, though, if it's positive, we are likely to see euro go up. And then we also have this here, employment numbers out of UK. So even though this is not marked as red, this is actually an important event. Employment numbers are always important. So it looks like we are looking at positive numbers here, average earnings index going up and unemployment rate going up slightly, but still we're not expecting too big of a change. So if the earnings numbers go up and the employment situation is positive, we are likely to see a move higher for pound as a result of that. So in terms of the negative numbers, if they come in slightly below expectations, that shouldn't really cause much of a difference. But if they drop significantly, then we'll see a negative impact on the pound. But any kind of positive numbers will have that nice positive move higher. And I think the weaker numbers basically get ignored at this point unless there is a fair bit of a difference. CPI numbers here, CPI numbers are important. At this point, expectations are for them to stay stable. If that's the case, again, we'll not see much of an impact. But if they come in significantly higher, actually, if they come in any positive number above what's expected, will have a positive impact. But in terms of the negative, I think they would have to drop further, or in terms of they will have to drop more to really see a negative impact. But any kind of positive numbers will have disproportionately positive impact. All right, Tuesday looking quite busy in the New York session here. We have Fed Chair Powell testifying. So in his testimony, usually we can see an impact on this one because more in-depth information comes out. And in this case, right now, I'm not expecting much to change in terms of Fed. They have basically said their piece. They have been sticking to it. But any terms of answers to the questioning, that can have an impact. So I would keep an eye on it. Basically, right now, what Fed is saying that we are going to continue supporting the economy. They did say that fiscal support is required from the government. And then in regards to that, we are going to see that bill, the stimulus package. So that's still in the works. So we'll see how that plays out. But in terms of the Fed, nothing really should change. But it's always how they word things that makes a difference. So we'll keep an eye on this. Same thing here, Bank of Canada here, not expecting much to change in terms of the monetary policy. But again, any sort of slight change in wording can have an impact on the market. So we'll keep an eye on this, on the Canadian dollar through that. And then, of course, we have another central bank here, Reserve Bank of New Zealand monetary policy statement. Interest rate not expected to change at this point. But in terms of the policy, if there's any slight change in the policy or the wording, even not even the policy, just the wording can cause a difference. So this is another one to keep an eye on. So big day here on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the testimony continues from Powell. But other than that, we don't have much in terms of the major news here. Now, we do have Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, especially business confidence number here. If the number comes in better than expected, again, we'll look for that move higher. Australian dollar is directly impacted by what's going on in the stock market. So if you're trading Australian dollar, it's a good idea to keep an eye on the stock market. When the stock market goes up, Australian dollar tends to go up with that as well. Thursday, tons of news, but nothing major. We do have preliminary GDP numbers coming here for the US. So the numbers have been a little mixed for the US. We have seen an impact from the numbers. So if the numbers come in positive, we will look for that positive impact. But right now, the focus is more on the money being injected into the economy. So whether that's from the Fed or it's from the stimulus bill. So that's where all the positivity is coming into the markets right now. So that's likely to continue unless something changes all of a sudden, which doesn't seem to be the case right now. So, so basically, I'm expecting positive result here. US dollar doesn't do as well when the stock market is going up. So just watch out for that. Other than that, nothing major here on Friday, except for our in the US session here, we do have Chicago PMI numbers. PMI numbers are always important. So if we see a bigger drop than what's expected here, that will be negative for US dollar. Same thing here for consumer sentiment number. Now, G20 meetings coming up. So the policy, or I should say the way US is looking at things with a change in administration is different now. So there may be commentary from G20 meetings that may have an impact on the markets. So we will have to keep an open eye for that. So it will have an impact next Monday, but just something to keep in mind here. All right, so let's go on to our charts here. We'll start off with euro dollar. In terms of the euro, we see that price didn't quite touch the trend line here, stayed slightly higher into 1.2020 level and then bounced off of that level here. So this previous support resistance level, right now, this is looking neutral. It has been, essentially price has been trading in this range here. And now we are into, this is looking neutral here. It could go higher. So I'm looking for a further move to the upside towards 1.22, and this is where we could see a turnaround. So this support resistance level coming all the way from this here could have an impact. So we could see something like this. So we'll cover that on the daily, but for now, neutral bias, look for that move higher towards 1.22. Pound dollar here, pound looking quite bullish here. It's been moving higher back into these levels. So we could see a further move higher in pound. Bias is bullish. It does have that nice momentum there. So looking for this to go higher. 1.4150 is the first target here, and 1.4240 is the second target. So bias is still bullish here and looking for that upward trend there. Aussie, big move on Friday here. And as we can see, it's held that support resistance level. Now, we had talked about the flag pattern here. So this is the flag pattern that we have talked about previously. It has broken through this resistance. So basically, I'm looking for that move higher now. So bias here is bullish. In terms of our next target, we are looking at 0.7920. And then above that, we have 0.8040. So bias here is bullish for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one also broke out of the range. It had been stuck. If we take a look at the daily here, it had been stuck in this range here for a few weeks, really. So this is where we were. Prices finally made that move higher. Now, it is into resistance, so that's something we just need to keep that in mind here. it needs to get through this resistance. Last time it bounced down, but once we see a clearance there, then looking for a further move to the upside. Just the caution here would be this resistance. But in terms of the bias here, bias is bullish. It's broken through here. So I'm looking for a continuation higher. And in this case, the first target here, we're looking at 0.7350 and then 0.7340 after that. So bias here is bullish for New Zealand dollar as well. Dollar CAD here, this as well, we are seeing that downward move here. So this was our bearish flag. Same thing, we have seen price drop. It was sideways here, and now it's trying to break out of that range, which means continuation lower here. So bias is bearish, and we're looking for this extension to the downside, but it will take a little bit. So right now, first target is 1.2520 back into the support resistance level. And then below that, we are looking at 1.2450. So bias here is bullish. Sorry, bearish, my apologies. Bias is bearish. We're looking for continuation of the downtrend for dollar CAD. Euro pound here, price has been dropping. It broke through this support level, and now we're looking for the move lower. In this case, the target here is 0.8590 back into this nice support resistance level here. So bias is bearish. So we're looking for this inefficient move, this big move. This part has filled now. We're looking for this part to get filled. So bearish bias here for Euro pound. Euro Swiss franc, this one is also looking bullish here. In terms of the weekly, it is into resistance, so I will watch out for it. Although, no, we did have a nice bullish candle here as well. So price has been stuck at this resistance for a long time here. So if it doesn't go through, just like this was nice and bullish here, it could still turn around. So I will watch out. It's still in this range. So bias is neutral to bullish. Once we see a move through this, then we are looking for the next target at 1.0920. But until that, it is still in a sideways move. So neutral bias and potentially positive depending on if price can break through this on Monday or not. Pound Swiss franc, this has been extremely bullish here, and we have seen this move higher. So this is the opposite of what we were talking about with the euro pound here. We have seen this fill out, and now this part is getting filled. So same thing with euro pound as well. So right now looking bullish at this point, and next target in this one is 1.2700. And above that, we have 1.2820. So looking for this inefficient move to get filled here now. So bullish bias for pound Swiss franc. Dollar Swiss franc, this is more sideways here at this point. We see that price has been going back and forth a little bit. There is a bit of a, it's been going back and forth. So neutral bias here. It doesn't really have a clear direction. It's just been going sideways in this little range here over the last little bit. So we do have a bullish candle close, but it hasn't quite taken over the previous one. So neutral bias, we may get a slight move higher. It depends. It does have to go through this resistance. It seems like it's struggling with that. So if it doesn't go through this one, we are back into the range again. So in that case, I will look for something like this. And we may get stuck here. So neutral bias for dollar Swiss franc. Pound yen here, this one has also been bullish. We are back into the support resistance level here, big move here. And target is, bias is still bullish. The first target here is 148.80. And then above that, we are looking at 149.80. So bias, still bullish bias here for pound yen. Now, keep in mind our resistance level here. This is a strong resistance level. So it may struggle here towards 148.80. So we'll have to watch out. So bias here is bullish for pound yen, target 148.80 and 149.80. All right, euro yen here. This one is not quite as bullish. It is into resistance right here. So we need to be careful with this one. So I would say neutral to bullish bias here. It does have bullishness in it, but it seems to be struggling here. So we have to watch out. So in this case, I'm looking for a retest of 128.50, but then we could get this. So this is what we have to watch out for. So bias is neutral to bullish. First target is 128.50. And if it doesn't get through, like I said, we may see a decline, but once it gets through, next target is 129.20. So I am biased to the upside. We'll have to follow up on this on the daily here. Seems to be going sideways a bit here. So we'll keep an eye on that. Neutral to bullish bias here for Euro Yen. Dollar Yen here, this one has pulled back. It did go into this resistance. This is a strong support resistance level here. And that bounce off of this resistance is expected. Now, what may happen is something like this. So this is what we have to watch out for. In this case, we may get a pullback into 105.70. If it cannot hold this level, then we're looking for a move back down towards 104.40. So bias here is neutral for dollar yen. Aussie yen here, nice move on Friday. So bullish bias here for Aussie yen. We are coming into some important levels, so we'll have to keep this in mind. Bias is bullish. 83.90 is the first target, and then the second target is 84.50 all the way into this. This looks like a strong support resistance level, so we'll look for a move in that direction. But we are coming into some important support resistance levels here, so watch out for this one here as well. Same thing here. This was our bullish flag formation. As we can see, price went through, and now we're looking for that continuation higher. So bias here is bullish for Aussie yen as well. Same thing here with New Zealand yen. Price broke through this same bullish flag formation here. It has gotten out of that range now. So this is our flag formation. Last week, we had a neutral close, which doesn't really count, but now it has held. So we're looking for that continuation move higher. So bias here is bullish for New Zealand yen as well. First target is 77.50. And then above that, we are looking at 78.30. So bullish bias for New Zealand yen as well. CAD yen here, this one is kind of going sideways here, but it's still bullish. We are, as we can see here, this move here is getting filled. This move here that was really volatile. Now we are back into filling this, so looking for a continuation here as well. We do need to keep an eye on the price of oil. That will have an impact. And we were seeing price was going back and forth because of the oil price fluctuation, and right now still looking bullish here. So we're looking at next thing is 84.30. So bias is still bullish, and then we're looking at 84.70. So we're back into the high here. This move here getting completely filled now. So bullish bias for CAD yen as well. All right, so let's take a look at silver here. Silver is neutral still. As we can see, price went and did a retest, but wasn't really able to hold it. And now it's just in a range. So right now, neutral bias, basically expecting a range-bound move here. So neutral, we don't have a clear direction on silver just yet. Okay, gold here. Gold also seems to be struggling here now. Price came into the support level here. This is where it had bounced off last time. So we need to be mindful of that because we could see another move higher here. But as we can see, overall, the trend is still to the downside here. So once we see a break through this support level, we are moving lower. 1748 is the next one, and then 1725. So overall bias is still bearish, just looking for that support. So we have our triangle forming here. So we need to see a break and then a continuation. But watch out for it. It's setting up, but not quite complete yet. For the next step here that we need to anticipate would be a break through it. But again, like I said, it may not break, just like it didn't. Then if it doesn't, we're looking for this range. It's back into the range. It's been stuck here for a bit, so it could go back into the range. For now, though, bearish bias, just a little caution as it's into support. Oil here, we saw the oil prices retreat, and part of that was because of the more, or I should say better weather coming to Texas. We were in the polar vortex now. Things should get better now, and as a result of that, the supply chain issues with oil should go away. And this is where we can see a drop in oil because there was a move higher because of all the problems. So in this case, bias here is bearish. The candle close here is a pin bar, bearish pin bar, which means a further move to the downside. So bearish bias based on just the technicals alone here in terms of the target. First target is 57, and then second target is 55. So bearish bias for oil. Copper here, a huge move to the upside. This is a great example of that flag pattern getting filled actually. Let me just draw this out a little bit better. So we had talked about the flag pattern in this one here as well. So this is our bullish flag. We had a nice move up, and as we can see, we're getting that extension to the upside. So from technical pattern perspective, very nice. A very nice move, but the problem here now is this is quite, that's a large move higher. When we get such big moves, many times we will get a pullback. So I will watch out for that pullback. Now bias is still bullish, but it's just too bullish of a move. It's the momentum, too much momentum here. So when we get inefficient moves like this, they tend to get filled. So that's something to keep in mind. I would say bullish bias still, but with caution here. Next target would be 4.10. So bullish bias with caution. Bitcoin. So currently the Bitcoin is at 57.5. Thanks, Alftor. So $57,000. Still looking bullish, and this one as well. We had that bullish flag pattern here. And as we can see, that extension again, these patterns are doing what they're supposed to do. They're playing out quite nicely here. So this is our flag pattern, and now we're getting that move higher. So this one could actually go even higher here. So in this case, bullish bias here, 50,500. But I think this one could go all the way to 60,000. I would say so. Bias here is bullish, and then, like I said, 58,500, and then 60,000 is the next target. So bullish bias for Bitcoin as well. S&P 500. This has been going sideways here. As we can see, it hasn't really made much of a progress. So not done, not moved in either direction. Overall, still looking bullish, but it seems to be hesitating here. Now with this one, what I would anticipate here would be, the important thing to keep in mind will be the support. If it holds above here, we're looking for next leg higher, but once it dips back down, we could see a move lower here. So this one is neutral at the moment, not quite bearish yet. It will turn bearish once it breaks through the support level at 38.80. So right now it is neutral. So it's still holding. So we're looking at a daily chart here. It's still holding the support level, hasn't been able to break it. It does look a little bearish on the daily, but this could be the problem here. This is where it may bounce off, so watch out. So bias right now is neutral. I'm looking for it to go sideways, and then we'll see what happens. We'll have to keep an eye on this on the daily. What happens here? If it does break through, then we are back into, we'll be looking for a downward move, and we would look for this move to get filled, but it's not quite there yet. So neutral bias for now for S&P 500. Nasdaq here, we are looking at the daily chart here. Same thing, we see that price had gone up. It does have slight bearish bias right now. But again, as we can see, price hasn't really broken through the support level. It hasn't held lower. So this one's looking slightly more bearish because it is a bearish engulfing candle, which is a bearish signal. So we'd be looking for a move lower towards 13,500. potentially towards 13,120. But I would be careful here. So neutral to bearish bias for Nasdaq here. And Dow Jones here, this is the daily chart again. We are looking sideways here. Hasn't really done a whole lot this week. Actually, for the last 2 weeks, still stuck sideways, still have that bullishness, is still holding above the previous major swing level here. So in this case, we could see a move like that. So right now, neutral bias. So looking at the weekly here, it's still holding there, right? So completely neutral candle close for the week. Nothing has changed. It opened and closed at exactly the same point. Neutral candles can be turning points for the market. So this is why we'll keep an eye on it on the on our daily chart. So what could happen with this one is we could get a retest and then a drop. So bias is neutral for Dow Jones. DAX here, again, a daily chart, as we can see, price is just holding sideways here. Hasn't really done anything at this point. Bias is neutral. Switching over to weekly here, this is where we are at this point. So there's a slight bearish bias here. I will look for a move lower towards 13,800 and then potentially, so basically it's in this range now. So now we're looking for a move back towards the bottom of the range. And so neutral bias overall for DAX as well. FTSE has been dropping. This move that we had, this big quick move up, is now getting filled. So bias here is bearish. We have a nice bearish pin bar on the weekly here. So I would look for a move lower towards 64.80 and then potentially 63.30. So right now, new bearish bias here for FTSE. And then Nikkei here, Nikkei still holding on to that bullishness here. Now we are seeing that that pull off of the, or bounce off of the high here, but as we can see on the daily here, it's still holding up there, which means we could see another move higher towards the top of the range. And if it doesn't go through, then we will look for that drop. So right now, neutral to bullish bias here, and we will see how it reacts at 30,600, if it goes there, or do we see a decline prior to that? So neutral to bullish bias here for Nikkei. All right, so that's it for now. You guys have a wonderful trading week, and I'll be back again on Monday with the daily analysis. Bye for now.